Welcome to the Be Smart podcast, how not to be an idiot with your money. Jared, we got to get into this Trump v. Elon beef. But first of all, how you doing? How you feeling about the state of the world right now? You good?
I'm always good. Life is good, man. It's funny. I'm not super plugged into social media these days. You know, I mean, if this was like 5 years ago, I'd be like scrolling on these riots in LA. And, like, I don't do that anymore. Like, I go read a book. Like, I just, get off the internet, which I think most people should do. I think a lot of people spend too much time on the internet.
I have gotten into a bad habit of doom scrolling, and it's just so bad for the mental health. I need to log off and get to this giant stack of books I have that I need to get to.
Yeah.
Especially since you've got a book coming out. I'm going to have to get to that.
You're gonna have another one. Yeah. By the way, my how do I put this? My half brother's mother, who is not my mother, we have the same father. She was visiting, and she is from Port Angeles, Washington, which is where Raymond Carver was from. He's not from there. Raymond Carver was from Yakima, and he moved to Port Angeles later in his life, and that's where he did most of his writing, was in Port Angeles. And I actually lived in Port Angeles from 96 to 98. And if you've ever been in that town, it is the most depressing town in the world. And you got to figure, anyway, she said Raymond Carver has like a room named after him in the library, like he's legendary in town, so it's pretty cool.
I think he lived in Syracuse for a while as well,
which is also a depressing place.
Is it? I've never been, but like a lot of pretty renowned writers lived there at some point. Like George Saunders, who teaches in the MFA program at Syracuse, is there. I think Tobias Wolff might have been there at one point.
Yep.
So are you reading any more Carver?
Yes, I just started Cathedral yesterday. So
I have not read that one.
Yeah, it's I think he has a different editor for this one. You can kind of tell.
Let's dive into the market headlines. Trump says relationship with Musk is over. You don't say. Let's go through some notable moments between their exchange. I know most people have probably already seen this, but just as a recap to set the stage here. Elon started off here with, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it." Later, this was 2 days later, he said, "Without me, Trump would have lost the election." And then this is where Trump jumps in. "Elon was wearing thin. I asked him to leave. I took away his EV mandate that forced everyone to buy electric cars that nobody else wanted, that he knew for months I was going to do, and he just went crazy." Then Trump said, "The easiest way to save money in our budget, billions and billions of dollars, is to terminate Elon's governmental subsidies and contracts. I was always surprised that Biden didn't do it." And then Elon dropped his big bomb, as he wrote, "Time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. That is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT." And then one more, my personal favorite tweet from this whole fiasco. Kanye West jumps in. He goes, "Bros, please, no." And he's got this hugging emoji. "We love you both so much." I mean, things are getting out of hand when Kanye jumps in as mediator. I mean, I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, but what do you make of this dispute?
There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. So Elon is, we have to be careful because of libel laws, but Elon is allegedly on drugs, right? Like allegedly he takes a lot of drugs. And Trump is not a fan of that. And I think Elon after a while, was unwelcome in the White House because of his behavior, because he was behaving erratically. On the other hand, Elon is right about the big, beautiful bill. It is full of pork. It is a spending palooza. And I think, what Elon signed up for when he teamed up with Trump was that they would shrink the size of government and they would reduce the debt. And this bill does the absolute opposite of that. It actually increases the deficit by about $3 trillion over time. So I don't think it's about the EV tax credits at all. I don't think it has anything to do with that. Um, Elon gets most of those tax credits because people buy the Model Y. The Model Y costs $49,000, and the EV tax credits phase out after $50,000. So he's selling a lot of Model Ys with these tax credits, and now the tax credits are going away. I mean, obviously that affects Elon's business, but ultimately, like Tesla can survive without the tax credits. I mean, this is like Amazon, like 10 or 12 years ago, when people said that Amazon was going to go out of business because they would have to start collecting sales tax. Like Tesla's going to be fine even if people don't have the tax credits. So it's not about that. It really is like Elon is principled about spending in the size of government, and that's what he's ticked off about. But, to call the president a pedophile in a tweet isn't a very good idea. It's not a good idea.
I think he's already deleted the tweet. So like how far did he cross the line on that? Like,
yeah.
Speaking of Tesla, just to close the week, last week it went down 14% on Thursday, but then it rebounded 4% on Friday. I believe it's down like 22% year to date. You seem to think it's going to be okay, but like what are the implications between all this back and forth? It looks like Tesla was hit with a pair of downgrades today.
Elon has done a lot of bad things in his career. He said that Tesla was going to get acquired for $420 a share, funding secured. That was all BS. He went after that, Thailand cave diver, called him a pedo guy. The guy sued him for libel or slander, and unbelievably, Elon Musk won that case. I don't know how he won that case, but he has crossed the line many times in his career, and this time I think he actually irreversibly crossed the line. Like I think he has done a lot of damage. Like because now he's pissed off everybody. Like he pissed off the Democrats, he pissed off the Republicans. Like if you are the richest man in the world and you depend on all these government contracts, like why do you go around antagonizing the people in charge, right? Like not to say that somebody's going to be able to build another SpaceX because they can, but this is a deal breaker. It is a deal breaker. So I don't have a position in Tesla. If you made me pick a side, I would be short. I would be short Tesla. And this is, coming from somebody who's been a big fan of Elon for the last 10 plus years. I think he crossed the line.
Yeah, he's definitely pissed off pretty much everyone. And then like he's saying all this stuff about, yeah, Trump would have not won without me. And then there was another tweet.
Which is true.
It is true.
But he donated $290 million.
Exactly. So like, I don't think people are going to forget that, even if you're trying to, maybe win back some liberals here. It's like, no, you gave him almost 300 million. You backed him. I mean, this is not a good look to me. Let's go to our next headline. This is more broad-based for stocks. The S&P 500 hit 6,000 points for the first time since February as stocks surge after jobs report. So stocks on Friday rose after the May jobs report reinforced confidence in the health of the economy amid concerns about the impact of tariffs. The S&P 500 closed just above 6,000 points, the first time it has done so since February 21, extending a rally that has boosted major indexes back near record levels. What's your take on stocks right now? Has sentiment peaked, at least, in the near term?
I think sentiment has peaked. I'm actually short. I'm short without a lot of conviction, and I'm short not in very big size, but I am short. I think sentiment has peaked. The charts look overbought. I don't really know of a catalyst, whether it's going to be more tariffs or something else, but we went from 5,000 to 6,000 in the S&P in about a month. Probably could pull back, a third of that move easily. So yeah, I'm just, I'm bearish, but I just don't have a lot of conviction. And the other thing is that, Picking bottoms in the stock market, like I did back in April, is a lot easier than picking tops. Picking tops is much, much harder.
And then regarding the labor market, the U.S. economy added 139,000 jobs in May, down from 147K in April, and the unemployment rate held steady at 4.2%. So this was maybe better than some had feared. It's still not, an amazing report, but are we looking at the Fed remaining patient with rate changes when it meets next week in spite of Trump's pressure for a full point cut?
Yeah, the Fed's not going to do anything. They're not. They got Trump in a headlock. Like you said, the payroll number was better than expectations. The revisions were lower. The interesting thing is that it was kind of a neutral jobs report. The headline was higher a little bit and the revisions were lower. It was pretty neutral, but the long bond was not about a point on the day. The bond market is just a horror show, and also, I think if the Fed does cut, the long end is going to be even uglier. I think, bond yields are going to go up even more.
Let's dig into bonds a little bit more here. So the most unloved bonds turn routine U.S. auction into crucial test. The Treasury is set to sell $22 billion of 30-year government bonds on Thursday, part of its regularly scheduled borrowings. However, the results will receive special attention as they'll offer an immediate readout on market demand at a time when investor appetite for 30-year U.S. debt has soured. I want to read you this quote by Jack McIntyre. He's the portfolio manager at Brandywine Global Investment Management. All the auctions will be viewed through the lens of a test of market sentiment. It feels like U.S. Treasury 30 years are the most unloved bonds out there. What do you think? Is the current wariness surrounding the long end of the yield curve warranted? Are we looking at a potential crisis down the road, as Jamie Dimon has warned?
So we have an auction on Thursday. It's $22 billion. $22 billion is not a big auction. It's not a big auction. I wouldn't be surprised if the auction goes reasonably well. Bond yields are at right about exactly 5%. And 5%, if you look around globally, is about the highest yields you can get. Even though there's all these concerns about debt and deficits and the budget and stuff like that, I think the auction's going to go well. I think it's going to be fine.
Anything else on markets you want to discuss? I mean, like you said, there's a lot going on in the world right now with these ICE protests in LA. I saw the Colombian presidential candidate Miguel Uribe Turbay was shot and is in critical condition. I mean, obviously the news is designed this way to make people feel like crap, but this doesn't feel good. None of this.
Well, I do have an interest in what's going on in Colombia. That's one of the positions in the Daily Dirt app. And, if you want to be sort of analytical about this, I mean, when Trump got shot in the ear, that got him elected, So I don't know if Uribe is going to survive. I don't know if he's going to be able to continue his campaign. I don't have any of this information. But even if he can't continue his campaign or he dies, there will be another candidate, and that candidate probably will get an outpouring of support. This is what a lot of people don't realize. If you have some nut job and they try to assassinate somebody and they succeed or fail, all it does is strengthen the cause of the other side, right? So I actually view it as kind of bullish. If I had more capital, I would actually buy more Colombia right now. I think the election is going to work out in our favor.
So you said you're pretty bearish on stocks at the moment. Are you bullish on anything at the moment? Is it commodities, gold, silver? Are you looking at Bitcoin?
Not looking at Bitcoin. Platinum is up 20% in a week. Platinum. One of the things I talked about in the Daily Dirt app is you always want to buy the breakout. This is one thing I've learned over the years. If you have something that's been consolidating for years and years and years, decades, and then it breaks out, you got to buy the breakout. If you did that in cocoa 2 years ago, you'd be retired, right? it was like a 40-year consolidation, a 45-year consolidation, and it broke out at about 2,000 and then it ran to 10,000, you'd be retired. You'd be retired. So platinum did the exact same thing. Platinum just broke out. It's up 20% in a week. Oddly enough, like this, there may be a connection between platinum and the Elon Musk news, right? Because if people get pissed off at Tesla and they stop buying their cars and demand for EVs goes down, demand for hybrids goes up and demand for internal combustion cars goes up, which increases the demand for platinum and palladium. So that actually might be a catalyst for higher platinum prices.
Looking at the week ahead, May inflation data will headline the week with CPI on Wednesday ahead of the Fed's next meeting, which begins on June 17. The first reading of the University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Survey for the month is also due for release on Friday. Any CPI predictions?
The Trueflation data has ticked up a little bit. It was at about 1.3%. Now it's at about 1.9%. So it seems to be that inflation is kind of bottoming here. So it's probably, I actually don't expect any fireworks, but it's probably going to be like an inline number or something like that.
Off markets, you got anything going on? You doing any traveling before you go to Nashville next month?
I do have a trip to New York, short trip. The book, Rule 62, comes out June 24th. So this podcast is being released on June 10th. So this is coming out in exactly 2 weeks. You are going to want to smash the buy button. So I'm looking at essays in here: critical or commercial success, finish what you start, the thrill seekers, what is your contribution, be conscientious, the nature of evil. There's all good stuff in here.
Pick it up for sure. I'll be getting my copy. All right, Jared, that wraps it up. Please, everyone, like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, or give us a follow if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Pods or whatever. Jared, I'll talk to you here soon. Thanks for your time. Later.
See ya.